I'm not Matt Chiu, but this is better than Beige.
Hello subscribers! Today I will talk to you about rhythmic motives in Beethoven's First. In the introduction to the symphony, there's a slow introduction, and there's kind of a germ that is worked in, a rhythmic germ, which Beethoven stresses beats 2 and 4 of the meter, in a 4/4 meter, which normally in classical music you want to stress 1 and 3. So kind of pushing that stress to beats 2 and 4 is odd. So in the very beginning, what he does is just kind of stress those beats with sforzandos. So he introduces that rhythmic displacement in the very introduction. But then he goes on to develop that. So in the first theme you lose track of that and it kind of goes away, but in the secondary theme it comes back. And he starts displacing the beat from 1 to 2. Like that. And then he continues to displace it further at the end of the exposition in the closing theme. So in the very end of the whole exposition, so it's just a little idea that gives the piece a bit of unity, rhythmic unity.
Previously on Better Than Beige, our last video was about transition sections, and when I say about, I mean it was entirely transition sections. So I thought I would continue that trend and tell you about the transition sections in Beethoven 1. So we've previously explained that there's an exposition and a recapitulation part of every sonata, and that they are the same thematically. Usually they have the same first and second theme, but they are harmonically different because the exposition goes to the dominant, so 5, and ends there, whereas the recapitulation does the same thing, but ends in the same key, because you don't want to start and end in different keys. Monotonality is yet alive. So the two transition sections have to be different, because one has to transition to a different key. So, in the first transition section, which is shorter, we get this, the ending has this gesture in it that goes like this. All of this is just on the dominant. And then it goes into the second theme. Lots and lots of that G. In order to stay in the home key, Beethoven does something really, really interesting in the recapitulation. So instead, we get that same gesture, but then he does something different and goes back up, which we recognize from earlier in the piece. And then we get this awesome series of ascending chords. It's going to sound like some of the voices are moving downward, but if you listen, you'll hear that the line moves up overall like this. Something that we call applied chords, when you have something that is moving to a note that is, or moving to a tone that is not the tonic. So dominant goes to tonic, but you can also use that dominant of other things to move to those chords. So for example, in this sequence we have wants to go here, the next chord wants to go to here, the next chord wants to go to here, etc., and we move all the way up the sequence. So if we eliminate the ones that are those applied chords, moving to the next chord, we get this sequence. Which doesn't sound very familiar to our ears because Beethoven is using smooth voice leading to move through that sequence. If we go back to the very beginning of the entire symphony, and we listen to the first chords, we have that same principle of applied chords moving one to the other. So I like to think that that section is intimately connected with the beginning of the symphony. Whoops. And then we get the dominant, and then we proceed to the second theme in the original key. So transition sections are wild, y'all. Okay, that was nice. My dad would be so proud. Hi, Dad! I love being recorded. I love being on camera. I'm very photogenic.